Welcome back to the second part of weathering model airplanes. And in this video, I'm going to go over pre-shading. Pre-shading is the most common weathering technique for model airplanes. I mean, it's been around forever. I remember pre-shading. It was the first weathering technique I learned when I started building models in 1992 when I was a kid. So it's been around forever and much longer than that. But pre-shading is basically highlighting the panel lines using a dark color and then painting over that. So what I'm doing here is you can go ahead and highlight the panels with a black. It's a 50-50 mix. It's, you can use, it's not, doesn't have to be precise. Doesn't have to be a wonderful spray. It's just to throw in some paint there and you can do it. It's pretty fast, easy. Um, and you don't have to be perfect with pre-shading. I mean, in fact, it looks better when you're not. So what you want to do is you want to follow the general uh, direction and such with the panel line. But if you mess up a little bit, it's not a big issue. So one thing I should mention about pre-shading technique here is that it is controversial, and I don't understand why. A lot of great modelers hate it. They think it's unrealistic, and they rant about it, um, and they don't just don't like it, and I don't understand why. So I follow, some great modelers on YouTube. There's a guy named Dukes Models, and he is against pre-shading. He thinks it looks unrealistic. It looks patchy. Um, I work with airplanes in a hangar, and I can tell you that that's how they weather. It does look like that somebody took some pre-shading underneath their paint because that's just naturally how airplanes weather. You can look up pictures online, in particular of modern jets. You see this very common look to them. So I'm not really sure what the issue is. Now, if you make the pre-shading look like, if you use a ruler and you're making it look really nice and defined, it does look patchy. But if you don't do that, I think it's pre-shading is a wonderful weathering technique, and it's a very controllable technique because you can decide how dark you want those panel lines. You can then paint over it and decide how much you want to come through. So it's one of the techniques that gives you a lot of control. It really does. And from there, you can also decide how much further you want to weather your airplane or not. And it's just such a versatile technique, and so I really like it. I'm totally fine with pre-shading. I think pre-shading is perfectly fine. I do believe that it looks realistic. As I said, I work with airplanes in our hangar, and that's how it looks. That's how they weather. Now they also weather in different ways, and I'm not a weather expert by any means. So I don't know the science behind why some airplanes weather in a pre-shading method and some weather in a molting fashion. I don't understand. I don't know enough about that, but I do think it's a realistic technique. It happens in real life, so I have no problem with pre-shading, and I think it's a fantastic technique. So um, as you can see, I've pretty much done the panel lines. It's a fast technique too, by the way. Look at how quickly I've been able to accomplish everything here. So it's a really fast technique. And then once you're done with the panel lines, there's a lot of gray space between the shaded panel lines. And what you can do is, and you don't have to do this, but you can just add in some variation to your paint, make it look a little bit pop out a little bit more. You can highlight in between the spaces between the pre-shading and the gray there, just to make your paint pop out a little bit more. You don't want to flood it. What you're trying to do is nice, gentle spray to add in a little bit of variation into the paint, um, and just make it look a little bit more vibrant when you airbrush. So there you go. Took me only a minute or so, and really I'm done. So I'm going to go ahead and airbrush on top of this a color just to show you what it looks like. And the key here is go nice misty layers. You're not trying to blast the paint on. I know a lot of guys who grew up with Tamiya like I did. With Tamiya, you can just spray on and brush it on and so fast. And really, that's just going to ruin the whole point of pre-shading because everything is going to disappear. You want to go nice, misty layers, and build up to that look. Remember, you can always add in, but you can't take away. So always go slow and build up the paint rather than just flooding in. And you can see here the paint is coming on there and it looks like it's almost disappearing, but when you blow some air and dry out the paint, a lot of it's going to come back. So be aware of that. And then you can decide like, hey, am I good with this? Do I want to have more pre-shading, or do I want it to come through more? No. All right, add in more paint. Oh, I like this look. Stop right there. So really, you get to control a lot of the pre-shading process. And one thing I should mention is you can only really do pre-shading over uh, gray or white primer background type of thing. You really obviously can't do pre-shading off of on top of a black background. Spraying black panel lines on a black background really isn't going to work. So hopefully that is self-explanatory. But there you go. As you can see on the wing root area, that panel line that I appreciated is coming through nicely, and some of the little hatches there, they're coming through as well. It's giving me a really nice semi-worn look. I didn't want to go for a heavy, heavy weathered look. Um, Hopefully bringing you guys in, you can see what I'm talking about here. But look at that. It looks really, really nice. And as I said, it's really realistic because this is how airplanes weather in the real world. I work on a hangar, and this is how they look, pound for pound. So here, just highlighting with a different color, just a darker color to show you what it looks like under a darker color. Same principle, light, light layers. Again, you can always add in, but you can't take out. So always remember that philosophy when you're painting. So light layers and just working it up, trying to get the look. So on this side, I wanted to go for a more dirty look, so I didn't add in as much paint. I didn't spray as much, so you can see that it looks a little bit more dirtier on this side, more used and weathered on that side of the wing. And if I sprayed more, I could have definitely covered it all up. So again, you have a lot of flexibility with this type of weathering. You can choose if you change your mind, like, hey, I don't think I want this weathering. I think it's too much. Okay, just spray another coat on there, 2 or 3 light misty coats, and it'll disappear. Oh, you know what? It looks really nice. I'm gonna stop right here. And this isn't the end, by the way. This is the base. I've mentioned this several times. These are the base techniques to for your model. And from here, you can go to other places. I can go ahead and highlight the panels if I wanted to make this look much more weathered. I can add in a glossy coat, add in my washes to this, and weather it even more. I can use oil paints and drops and do oil filtering like they do on the tank models, and it's up to me. So it's really a versatile technique for weathering. But you can see the two sides here. You can see how it's coming through. It looks really nice and worn, and something like a World War II model, it would look great. Especially on like German stuff, it looks fantastic in my opinion. So I hope this helps, and stick around for the third part.